So I had the pleasure of checking out Red Notice in its 1-week limited theatrical release in the cinema, which is so cool because I didn't know anything about this movie besides having its massive big stars, a huge budget to go along with it, and that's going to be on Netflix in a week. So I'd had no expectations for this movie whatsoever, and that's probably the best thing for this movie because after I watched the movie, I have to say that this is a really bad movie. That is one of those bad movies that you can instantly just laugh at how bad it is. And if you turn your brain off, you might find some weird enjoyment in it. So let's just dive right to my negatives because I have a whole lot with this one. So let's just start right with the comedy. The jokes in this movie are so bad, so cringeworthy that the entire time I was just rolling my eyes at every single joke. The jokes in this movie already feel outdated with so much of it just feeling like it's all about pop culture references the entire time. And it's just so distracting to watch, especially because there's so much product placement in this movie that I just couldn't get over it. It became very distracting throughout. The comedy in this movie should have worked considering that you have some of the most likable actors working in the movie industry today, and a couple of them are really funny, but this movie is not funny at all. I found Ryan Reynolds in this movie to be so irritating, so annoying, and all the delivery of his jokes were so awful. Speaking of the writing, the screenplay in this movie is so damn bad. I know a lot of people are probably gonna watch this movie and be like, Brad, come on, it's a silly action comedy movie. Come on, you're not supposed to take the script all that seriously. I'm going to because there are plenty of great action comedy movies that are out there. And the script for this movie is so lazy, it's so stupid. It basically tries to copy all other movies like James Bond, Indiana Jones, and any other good movie that you would just rather watch instead, tries to be that movie without ever feeling original, interesting, or even adding something fresh to this genre, because this movie is essentially a spy adventure movie, and this movie just doesn't feel like it tries at all. One of the most annoying aspects that comes with this movie is that the fact that there's so many conveniences throughout. All these characters never feel like they're ever at stake at any point in the movie. They get out of almost every single situation in the most easiest way possible. Like, I can't wait to watch a pitch meeting for this movie because it's gonna be glorious. The basis of this movie does feel very generic, and at times I was thinking, well, this is just a very average movie. But as the movie goes along, you realize there's no direction. You don't even know what's going on, and everything they explain just doesn't matter. And I felt so confused for a very simplistic, stupid movie, and that shouldn't happen. My next negative with this movie is the performances. Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne Johnson are some of the biggest actors working today, and they have been known to be playing a version of themselves. I understand that. That's why people enjoy them. But in this movie, they didn't even try to make their characters just a little bit different, like Dwayne Johnson would for the Fast and Furious movies, or Jungle Cruise, or Ryan Reynolds for Free Guy. They are literally just playing themselves in the most obvious, annoying, and just egregious way possible. That just feels like this movie was made in a corporate machine and they could just do whatever they want. They could be paid $20 million for this movie, being some of the highest paid actors working today, and it is inexcusable. Gal Gadot in this movie isn't all that great either, but she's definitely the best performance considering that she is playing a little bit different of how she would normally play a character like Wonder Woman, and she's actually trying. She's giving a very energetic performance. Another massive negative I have with this movie is the visual effects. I have complained a lot this year about many of the blockbuster movies having very mediocre and bad visual effects, but in this movie, there should be no excuse considering that this has a budget of 160 to 200 million dollars, especially the bull scene, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you see the movie. Action sequences are also very mediocre. There are times where it can be enjoyable and entertaining if you just turn your brain off for like the whole 10 minutes of the fight. It could work. The other technical aspects in this movie, like cinematography, the editing, directing, and the music, are all so bad in this movie. They're very generic, uninteresting, dull, especially the editing in this movie, where there's one scene of Ryan Reynolds walking down the staircase and there's 3 cuts of him trying to fix his tie. I'm not kidding you. It was awful and it was embarrassing. Surprisingly, I actually have a few positives with this movie, with the first being that this movie is extremely fast-paced and at times is very entertaining. Does not stop going, and it's just so lighthearted, and it just moves along so quickly without ever really having any dull moments within it. And my last positive is that some of the action sequences can be somewhat entertaining. Like, I wasn't bored while watching them. If you get a ton of movie snacks while watching this movie, the action sequences go by pretty fast, and it does make for some popcorn fun, if that makes any sense. So overall, guys, Red Notice is a lazy, garbage, uninteresting, and bad action comedy movie that I cannot recommend in the slightest. There is going to be some enjoyment from this movie just because of the stars, and if people really like the comedy, because comedy is subjective, and if you just have a good time watching this movie. And if you do, I am so glad that you did. But for me, I am giving Red Notice a 3 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for checking out my review of Red Notice, and I want to know down below in the comment section, what are some of your favorite action comedy movies of all time? I would love to hear about it. But before you check out this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a like if you want to, and ring that notification bell so I can see you all in the following video.